Rate of return visitors. Rate of return visitors is another metric that will give you more insight regarding the actual engagement you're enjoying on your website. As the name rather suggests, this will tell you how much of your traffic is generated by visitors who keep coming back to your site. This metric is harder to track in a true manner because people will change computers and cookies over time. However, by looking at IPs and tracking how many of those are changing over time, you can get a good estimate of how many of your visitors have been fans for a long time, but this will be slightly skewed by your number of new users. Using something like a user login can help you to improve the accuracy of this metric somewhat depending on the tools you use, as this way users with new computers can log in using their old accounts and thereby identify themselves. But in this case, a rough estimate is good enough for your purposes. The aim is just to get a rough percentage of how much of your traffic is new traffic. And this is very important, seeing as it can tell you a lot about the nature of your visits. For example, if you have a lot of visits, then you might think that this means you have a very successful marketing campaign. But then if you take a closer look and realize that the vast majority of those visits are from people who check your site once a week, suddenly you realize that your engagement is great but your marketing is not so hot. This illustrates a very obvious area for improvement. Or what about sites with excellent rates of return visitors but terrible conversions? This is interesting because you would expect a site with high levels of conversions and clear fans to get a lot of sales and a lot of subscribers. If that's not what you're seeing, then it could suggest that the product is not very enticing for your visitors. It could suggest that you are using too much of a soft sell approach, or it could mean that you need to fix the sales copy on that page. How to improve your rate of return visitors. Of course, this is again an area where it is very important to make sure your site is great and that the content is the writing of thing that keeps bringing your visitors back. But at the same time, you can also use a number of other tricks to encourage regular visits. One example is to create multi-part articles that show up once a week. Likewise, you can also increase your return visitors by talking about upcoming posts and events that will get your readers exciting. Perhaps the single most important thing though is to make sure you are consistent. This means you should post your new content on a consistent basis, but it also means you need to stick to one topic and one tone. People tend to subscribe to sites or to bookmark them because they want a regular dose of information or entertainment. If they keep checking back and there's no new content, then you might lose a follower. Social media and email marketing are also very useful for bringing people back to your site repeatedly, as this way you can remind people that your brand exists and encourage them to visit back. Make it as easy as possible for people to bookmark your page or subscribe you, and consider reminding them to do so in the body of your content.